Hello my friends, it is February the 20th of 2024. This video is entitled My Favorite Movies Part 2. Okay, so recently I did a video entitled My Favorite Movies Part 1 where I listed 25 of my favorite movies. So in this video I will be listing another 25 of my favorite movies to make up a total of 50 movies. Okay, so I have another great bunch of movies to present to you. Some of these movies I will only be talking to you about briefly, whereas others I will be going into more detail about. Okay, let's get right into this. Up first is Metal, a Headbanger's Journey. This is a documentary about metal, obviously. I believe this video came out in 2005, so I would have been about 19 years old at that time, and I do recall purchasing it at that time as well. I would have bought it at HMV, which is no longer around, unfortunately. It did include a t-shirt as well, and I do recall wearing that t-shirt on occasion. Yeah, this is a really well made documentary. I mean, it's most of what is in here is common knowledge for most metalheads, but for people that are new to metal, I think this is a great documentary to watch for those types of people who are new to metal or who have a curiosity about metal, but still for people who have been into metal for a long time, this is still a very entertaining film. Lots of great interviews in here, and lots of great footage of different bands, and yeah, just a very well put together documentary, and certainly enjoy this one quite a lot. And yeah, if you haven't checked this one out, definitely give this a watch for sure. Okay, so that is Metal, a Headbanger's Journey. Global Metal. This is another documentary on metal. This is made by the same group of people who made Metal, a Headbanger's Journey. That would be Sam Dunn along with a few other people. Great documentary. I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit more than Metal, a Headbanger's Journey. What's interesting about this one is it features bands from various parts of the world, like in the Middle East and Asia and elsewhere. So yeah, very interesting, and really enjoy this one quite a bit. I've watched this one a lot, and yeah, it's very entertaining, and love the interviews with the different bands, and it's just interesting to see the metal culture elsewhere. And yeah, I highly recommend this documentary. I just love this film so much. 10 out of 10 for sure. Okay, so yeah, give this one a watch if you haven't checked it out yet. Okay, so that is Global Metal. Heavy Metal in Baghdad. Another excellent documentary about a metal band from, I believe, Iraq. I've watched this one several times already. The name of the band is Cicada. I'm not sure if they're still around or not. I believe they relocated to North America, to the US, many years back. But yeah, it's just a great documentary that details the struggles of this band that they had of being a metal band in Iraq, which is extremely rare. I believe they're one of the very few metal bands from that region. But yeah, it features a lot of footage of the band from that region, and yeah, it's a great documentary to watch as well, just to sort of see the culture there, not just the metal culture, but just the culture in general as to how it is in Iraq and the Middle East. And yeah, it's very eye-opening for sure. And yeah, this is a very well made documentary, very interesting, and yeah, very unique concept. I really enjoy this one so much, and yeah, definitely check this one out if you haven't. Okay, so that is Heavy Metal in Baghdad. Black Metal Satanica, another metal documentary. This one is about black metal. Yeah, this one is pretty good. I haven't seen this one in a while, but I do recall that it features lots of great interviews. It features some interviews with like members of Shining, Nicholas from Shining. Yeah, very interesting interview with him, and interviews with Wayne and a bunch of other bands. And I mean, if you're somebody that's already familiar with black metal, a lot of this is just common knowledge. Of course, it talks about a lot of what happened in Norway back in the early to mid 1990s with a lot of the drama that went on there, and the conflicts with the Mayhem and Burzum and Darkthrone and all that sort of thing. But yeah, still interesting to watch. If you're into black metal, I would suggest that you give this one a watch. It's still entertaining, and still lots of great information here, and like I said, lots of great interviews in here as well. So yeah, definitely worth a watch. Okay, so that is Black Metal Satanica. Until the Light Takes Us. This is a phenomenal documentary. Very artsy, though. It's different from other like documentaries. It's yeah, it has a unique concept here. Very well put together. I really enjoy this one so much, and it features interviews with Varg Vikernes and Fenris from Dark Throne, and one of the members from Saturicon, and other black metal bands from Norway as well. And yeah, it just has lots of very interesting footage. Even has footage of Varg in prison. It has some footage of Fenris out and about in the community at bars, and it's just really interesting. It gives you more of an intimate look into these people's lives, and yeah, just very interesting movie. Provides lots of great information here, and yeah, I would definitely strongly recommend checking this one out. Even if you're not a fan of black metal, it's certainly worth checking out. It's just a very well made documentary. I really enjoy this one so much. I've seen this one many times, and I give it a 10 out of 10 for sure. Okay, so that is Until the Light Takes Us. Last Days Here. This is a documentary about Bobby Liebling of Pentagram. Yeah, this one is really interesting. I really enjoyed this one so much. I've seen this one a bunch of times already. Bobby Liebling is such an interesting character who's lived a very strange life, to say the least. I mean, this guy has dealt with years and years of drug addiction and so much conflicts going on within his personal life and within Pentagram. Pentagram is, there's just been so much conflict within that band, and but it's just so interesting to see, and it's just really, it gives you a very intimate look at Bobby's life and just how he has lived, and yeah, it's really good. And yeah, I highly recommend this one. If you're a fan of Pentagram, definitely check this one out. If you're a fan of doom metal and just metal in general, it's just a really good documentary. I can't recommend this one enough. It's really good. Okay, so that is Last Days Here. This one is entitled Agenda, Grinding America Down. Okay, so I do recall watching this one a few years ago and being very entertained by it. It's quite good. It gives you a lot of insight into what's been happening in America. Yeah, it's quite good. It basically sort of details how America is becoming increasingly more communist, and the Western world in general, and it kind of explains to you how the social engineers are accomplishing this. So yeah, it's certainly very interesting, very informative, and it is, I suppose, somewhat controversial, but yeah, very interesting for sure. I would definitely watch this one. I would definitely recommend this one. Okay, so that is Agenda, Grinding America Down. Shadow Government. This is another like conspiracy type documentary. I do recall watching this one a few years ago. So it just sort of details a lot of the technologies that are available, that are sort of spying on people, or that are sort of compromising people's freedoms. And yeah, it just showcases all that and how it's been done, and how it's been impacting people's freedoms here in the Western world especially. So yeah, certainly a very interesting movie. I believe I bought this one at a thrift store for just like $1 or $2, and yeah, it's quite good. It's certainly a very interesting movie, and if you can get your hands on this one, or you can find it somewhere, definitely give it a watch. It's quite good. Okay, so that is Shadow Government. The Billy Meier story. So this is interesting. Years and years ago, I'd say about maybe about 12 years ago, I was deeply fascinated with Billy Meier. He's this man from Switzerland who claims to have been, or continue to be, in contact with these extraterrestrials from the Pleiades star system. And he's provided so much information, books of information that he's written, and hundreds of photographs and various videos, and he still continues to claim that he's in contact with these Pleiadian beings, and it's just very fascinating. It's highly questionable, but it's still interesting. I was more of a believer of this many years ago. I was deeply fascinated with him for a while, just researching a lot of his stuff. But After a while, I became just increasingly more skeptical of his story. But you never know, there could be some truth to it, but it's difficult to say. Certainly very, very interesting for sure. Certainly worth checking out. Yeah, it is. It's incredibly interesting and strange as well. But yeah, Billy Meier, he's still around as far as I know. He must be close to 90 now. But what an interesting character. He's lived a very interesting life. And yeah, Billy Meier, check him out. There's lots of information of him out online. And if you can get your hands on this documentary right here, it's certainly worth watching. It's very, very interesting. Okay, so that is the Billy Meier story. Joker, love this movie so much. I've seen this movie several times. I just absolutely love it. 10 out of 10. It's just great. It's just sort of like a dark, sort of psychological thriller. I don't know how you described it exactly, but it's just very interesting. The main character, Joker, of course, it just really gets into his psychology, and it's just so deeply fascinating to know what he's all about. And the movie is just very, very well made. Everything about it is just incredible. This is an extremely well made movie with great acting and just everything. It's just great. It's a movie that I just love so much. An absolute masterpiece. Okay, so that is Joker. Taxi Driver. This movie is, I believe it had come out back in the late 1970s. Features Robert De Niro. Yeah, this one is really, really interesting. A movie that I can connect with and relate to. I can connect with Joker as well, to the main character. But the main character in this movie I definitely connect with as well. I see some similarities between his life and mine for sure. Yeah, it's definitely somewhat similar to the Joker. I know a lot of people do compare the two, and I know some people have said that the Taxi Driver actually inspired Joker. I'm not entirely sure about the specifics of that, but there's definitely some sort of parallels between the two. Very, very interesting movie. Yeah, it's very dark, and you know, it's more of like a psychological thriller that details this loner, this taxi driver. Yeah, it's just interesting. You have to watch it. It's I do enjoy it quite a bit. It's a very fascinating movie. And yeah, check this one out if you can, if you haven't seen it already. Okay, so that is Taxi Driver. Eyes Wide Shut. Great movie right here. This was, I believe, Stanley Kubrick. He was the one that produced this film. This was his last movie, I believe. I think he passed away shortly before this movie was even released. Features Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Great movie. Fairly controversial. Yeah, it's a real eye-opener, this movie. It's amazing what Kubrick did as far as what he really exposed about the global elite within this movie. Yeah, it's so interesting, this movie. Everything about it is just really, really well done. Very dark and mysterious, and it's very eye-opening as well. And I'm just surprised that that some of the content in here would have actually been in a Hollywood film. Very interesting, a movie that I enjoy so much. I highly recommend this one. Definitely check this one out if you can. Okay, so that is Eyes Wide Shut. 1 Hour Photo. This is a movie with Robin Williams. Very dark. It's sort of like a dark, I guess, yeah, it would be like another one of these sort of like dark psychological thrillers. It's just very interesting. Robin Williams' character, he does an incredible job in this movie. It's just so fascinating. I just love this movie so much. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. A movie I've seen several times. Yeah, it's great. It's a great movie. Okay, so that is 1 Hour Photo. Donnie, Darko. Love this movie so much. I know there are a lot of people out there that are like diehard fans of this movie. It has sort of like a cult following. But yeah, just an incredibly well-made movie. It's another one of these, I guess it's another one of these sort of like dark psychological thrillers. It's just incredibly well-made. The characters within this movie, and especially the main character, Donnie Darko. It's just interesting, his psychology, and it's just a deeply fascinating movie. It's a definite must-watch. Okay, I give it a 10 out of 10 for sure. Just a masterpiece. Okay, so that is Donnie Darko. They Live. Great movie. This was made by John Carpenter. I believe this had come out in sometime in the late 1980s, I believe. Yeah, it's sort of like a sci-fi action type film, I suppose. Very interesting, very eye-opening. You know, the message within this movie, you have to check it out. You have to actually watch it to understand, because it's very revealing. It's quite something, the fact that they made this movie, and with the message of this movie, it's quite good. It's a movie that I can definitely connect with and relate to, because it's revealing some big secrets about what is actually happening in this world, and has been happening for some time. And I'm surprised this movie was actually made, but yeah, what an incredible film this is. Just absolutely love it so much. Definitely check this one out if you haven't. Okay, so that is They Live. Altered States. This is sort of like I guess it's sort of like a horror film, I suppose, or sort of like a thriller. That's difficult to say. It's certainly very dark. Basically, it details these experiments involving these scientists. They experimented with, in this movie, they experiment with various drugs. And it's just interesting. It really is quite something. I really enjoy this movie. Yeah, it's a really well-made movie. I don't really hear anybody else really talk about it, but yeah, I'm just deeply fascinated with this film. I've seen it several times, and it's a very unique and interesting movie. And yeah, great movie. Check this one out if you haven't. Okay, so that is Altered States. 1984, of course, the book by George Orwell, 1984. I've read it a few times. Great book. You know, with the message of that book and what Orwell is saying, I mean, so much of that has come true. Almost all of it, I would say, unfortunately. But yeah, the movie is pretty good too. Not as good as the book though, but it's still certainly worth a watch. It's pretty good. I definitely enjoyed it. I've seen it a few times, and if you like the book, I mean, definitely check out the movie. I mean, it's pretty good. Certainly worth a watch, and I do enjoy this one quite a bit. Okay, so that is 1984. Papillon. Okay, so I believe this movie had come out sometime in the early 1970s, I believe, 1973. I could be wrong about that, but great prison movie. I have this like fascination with prison life and all that. I've watched so many documentaries about prison. I just find it deeply fascinating. But yeah, this one is really good, and I know they did make a remake of it some years ago. I haven't seen that remake. I would like to check that out, but this one is really good. I do recall watching this as a kid a few times when I was quite young, and just loving it. It's just so well made, and it's quite dark as well. Just the it just showcases these inmates and just the misery that they went through within the prison system. And yeah, definitely check this one out. I really enjoy this one. Great prison film. Okay, so that is Papillon. Okay, so now I'm getting into more like horror films. Okay, so The Sixth Sense, great movie. You know, for years I had heard so much about this film, but I never really watched it. And when I did eventually watch it, I watched it, I guess, about a year or so ago. I thought, wow, this is just incredible. What a really well-made movie. Especially the ending. The ending is just very interesting, and once you watch the ending, then everything makes sense, and it's like, wow, really interesting, really well made movie, very dark, and yeah, I really enjoy this one so much. Okay, so that is The Sixth Sense. Unbreakable, another movie with Bruce Willis. Made by M. Night Shyamalan. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's made some pretty good films, that guy. Some of them maybe not so great, but but yeah, this one I really enjoyed quite a bit. I do recall watching this one many years ago, around the time that it had come out, and yeah, just a great movie. Yeah, just really well made. I really enjoy this one so much. Again, another great ending, you know. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Okay, so that is Unbreakable. Dark Water. Yeah, this one is really, really good. I do recall watching this when I was around 20, and then some years later I purchased this copy and watched it again, and wow, yeah, it's quite good, this movie. Just a great horror film. Yeah, just I don't know what else to say. It's just a great movie, like a dark psychological horror type film. It's quite good. Definitely check this one out. Okay, so that is Dark Water. The Conjuring 1. Okay, so I just absolutely love the Conjuring series. I have all the Conjuring movies, and then all the Annabelle movies, as well as the Nun, and there's a few other that are involved with that series. But the Conjuring, to me, the first one especially, is really good. And I watched this one at least about 3 or 4 times, and yeah, it's quite fascinating. And I am deeply fascinated with the paranormal, ghosts and hauntings and poltergeists and exorcisms and all of that stuff. So yeah, this movie is great if you're into all that kind of paranormal type stuff. Again, yeah, just a great horror film right here. Definitely recommend this one. Okay, so that is The Conjuring Part 1. Okay, The Conjuring Part 2. I do recall seeing this one in the theater when it had come out, and definitely enjoying it. And of course, when the DVD had come out, of course I purchased the copy. Great movie as well. I would say it's just as good as the first one. Another interesting story here with lots of frightening scenes, and yeah, really good stuff. Like I said, the Conjuring series is just really fascinating. I'm a big fan of the Conjuring series, and so many good movies within that series. But the Conjuring movies, really enjoy them so much. Okay, so that is The Conjuring 2. The Blair Witch Project. Okay, this movie is just really interesting. I remember when it had come out. I didn't see the movie when it had come out. I think it came out sometime in the late 1990s, but I did end up seeing it some years later and just loving it. I mean, it's just a very interesting concept. I just love sort of the atmosphere of these people, these young people being out in the woods and experiencing all this paranormal behavior. Yeah, it's really good. Frightening for sure. Just very suspenseful, and yeah, I think it's a very unique and well done movie. Okay, so that is The Blair Witch Project. Sleepy Hollow. I recall seeing this movie when it had come out in the theater. I went there with my dad and my brother to see this movie, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Very dark and gloomy. That is sort of like the atmosphere that it has, and yeah, just a very interesting story. The acting and everything is just incredible. It's a very well done movie. I watched it some time ago again, and yeah, it is really good. A definite masterpiece, and of course Christina Ricci is in this film, and I definitely enjoy her movies. Great actress, and of course Johnny Depp, certainly a very good actor as well. But yeah, great movie right here, Sleepy Hollow. Okay, and the last movie on my list is the Amityville Horror. Okay, so this is the remake. This isn't the original Amityville Horror. I do recall seeing this when I was around 20, and then some years later I purchased this copy here. Great movie. I think it's really well done. I'm not sure if I've even seen the original, to be honest. I may have, but this one is really good. Yeah, I enjoyed it so much. Like I said, I'm just a big fan of ghosts and hauntings and poltergeists and exorcisms and all that interesting paranormal type stuff, and this movie has all that, and great storyline here. Yeah, great movie. Okay, all right, so that is the Amityville Horror. Sorry about that. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's another 25 of my favorite movies, which makes up a total of 50 of my favorite movies. Yeah, I enjoy these movies quite a lot. Of course, there are other movies that I enjoy quite a lot as well, and I'm always checking out other movies. And lately I did purchase another bunch of movies, so I'm definitely looking forward to watching those. And so yeah, let me know what you think of some of these movies that I listed, and tell me what some of your favorite movies are. I'm very curious to know. And if you have some other suggestions for videos that you'd like me to do, please let me know. I'm always open to new ideas. And so yeah, please leave some comments, give me a like. If you don't subscribe to the channel, please subscribe. So yeah, I want to say thank you very much for watching, and I want to say thanks to all the people who watch my videos and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Cheers.